Executive Suites, made possible in part by the generous support of the Rhode Island Foundation. Now, Executive Suites with WPRI.com reporter Ted Nesi.
"10 years ago, when Fleet Bank was gobbled up by Bank of America, a new chief took the reins of the bank's Rhode Island division, Bill Hatfield. Today, Hatfield is still at the helm after steering the bank through a decade of financial chaos nationally and double-digit unemployment locally. Bank of America emerged from the crisis bigger than ever, and in Rhode Island, it's now the second largest bank by deposits, giving it a close-up perspective on the state's painfully slow economic recovery. This week on Executive Suite, we hear from one of the top bankers in the region, Bank of America's Rhode Island president, Bill Hatfield. Welcome to Executive Suite. I'm Ted Nesi. Bill, thanks for being here.
Ted, great to be here.
Before we start, I want to help people understand your role at Bank of America. Obviously, there's a top-level CEO, Brian Moynihan, Brown University graduate. We'll talk about that later. But you're kind of like a CEO for Rhode Island at the bank, right?
That is correct. I am the state president of Bank of America in Rhode Island. I've had the privilege of serving in the role for the last 10 years. And I also wear another hat at Bank of America. And I happen to be an executive in U.S. Trust, which is our private wealth management business. And I have responsibilities locally for that business as well as nationally.
Sounds like a lot of jobs to keep track of.
I wear a couple of hats. It keeps me busy.
Yeah,
for sure. Imagine. For sure.
Let's go right in with the state of things at Bank of America right now. The bank just reported its first quarter financial results. Wall Street a little disappointed. Most of the analysis I saw said it's just still a huge amount of costs, legal costs particularly, stemming from the crisis. What's the feeling inside the bank about the first quarter?
Actually, the feeling inside the bank is very good about the first quarter. Why do I say that? Because if you look beyond the litigation expense that we incurred, the momentum in the business is clearly evident. So if you look at the key operating metrics that we measure our success by, be it growth in loans, growth in deposits, expense management, capital management, all of those arrows are pointing in a very, very positive direction and point to the positive momentum that we have in our business. We did in fact report a loss, but that loss was a function of the litigation expense that we viewed as extraordinary and recorded it accordingly.
So it sounds like you and your colleagues separate the lingering costs from the crisis from sort of what's the underlying business doing now going forward.
Absolutely. These are legacy costs. These are issues that go way back in time. And as we look at our core business and the progress that we're seeing in that business, it's outstanding. And I'm very, very proud to really report that to you and suggest that we've got some great momentum going forward.
Mentioned CEO Brian Moynihan at the top. He took over from Ken Lewis, I think, beginning of 2010.
Yes.
He has a new vision for the bank, partly to get it ready for this post-crisis world, a streamlining of the far-flung operations of Bank of America. For you as a bank CEO or a state president on the ground, what does his vision mean to you, and how is it changing what Bank of America does in its regions?
Well, it's a phenomenal vision, and I say that because what Brian has done is he's truly simplified the company, and he has positioned the company where we are now better managing risks that we have, we are better managing capital, and most importantly, the company is solely focused on our customers and clients that we serve. So we have really taken a very broad-based organization, simplified it, focused it very closely on our priorities, which are our customers in the communities that we serve. So it's a very, very exciting strategy to be implementing.
Now, people at home might say, well, why didn't you focus on customers before 2008? What does that mean tangibly for people about things that have changed to make it what you see as a focus?
Well, I think if you look at Bank of America historically over the last 10 to 15 years, we were principally growth through acquisition. And there was one acquisition after another that took place, certainly during the 2000 to 2007, 2008 period.
Very much including how you became a part of Bank of America with Fleet.
Coming out of Fleet Boston. But as we got to 2010, obviously the world had changed dramatically. Okay, the definition of risk had changed dramatically. And we needed to step back, evaluate how we were going to position the company going forward. And Brian, who's brilliant in his leadership, said, we're going to simplify, we're going to make it easier to do business with our company, and we're going to focus on our customers. And frankly, the responsibility that I have and all of my colleagues have is to connect all the capabilities that we have at Bank of America with each and every customer so that their financial lives are better. Our commitment to our customers is to make their financial lives better. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to connect all of our capabilities to what's most important to them. It's all about them.
He's also, of course, had to look closely at costs, and there's been a lot of expense reductions at Bank of America in the last few years.
Yes.
I guess, how far have we cycled through that? People, the most tangible ones to people on the ground are often job cuts or branch closings.
Yeah.
Do you expect a lot more of that in this market in the coming years?
No, locally, I think we have a very, very good story to tell. We've had very, very good stability in our workforce in Rhode Island over the last couple of years. Candidly, as I look ahead this year, we're in growth mode. And what I mean by that is we are going to be adding positions in Rhode Island through 2014. As of right now, we have plans to add up to 350 positions, principally at our contact center in East Providence, but also at our contact center in Lincoln. So we've got some great opportunity for people to come into the field, engage with a company that is growing, is focused on customers, and we're very proud that we can declare that we're hiring and growing our workforce.
And that might surprise people to the extent that the most dramatic headline with Bank of America lately and around has been the Superman building. We've talked a lot about this in the state. Bank of America made the decision. It was kind of a legacy, another legacy cost or legacy place from Fleet and where you'd been all those years and back into his industrial trust. For people at home who might not have followed it super closely, why was the decision made by you and the other bank leaders that it was time to move out of the Superman building?
Well, so let's go back to kind of the story that I just talked about, which is the growth of our company. And as we grew, we accumulated a lot of real estate. And as we went through the change in the economic environment, clearly we found ourselves with excess capacity on the real estate side. And we needed to make some strategic decisions around the space we were going to occupy. The Industrial Trust Building, the Superman building as it's fondly known here in Rhode Island, was a very, very large space, approximately 350,000 square feet. We were occupying only a fraction of that space. And we also occupied 3 other buildings downtown. So we have several hundred people in downtown Providence. And we had an opportunity to really optimize our space by consolidating in some of the other buildings where we were already present. Importantly, as we did this, we may have vacated a building, but we maintained all the jobs that we had in downtown Providence in downtown Providence.
And you're still right next door, actually.
And we're right next door.
In
we're
Joe Palino's building now.
That's exactly right. Yep,
on Westminster Street.
Joe has acquired the building. I think he is a fantastic owner. It is great to have him there and on premise, and I see Joe regularly. And we talk a lot about the opportunity to.
With Joe, you just talk a lot about.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. He's a great guy.
Bank of America, I doubt you can say much on this, but has been sued by the current owner of the Superman building for an alleged failure to keep things up. Is there anything you can say about that with litigation?
There isn't. With litigation outstanding, I really can't comment on that. I am hopeful as we look forward and look at the prospects, for the building. I am hopeful that some of the ideas that are being talked about right now come to fruition. I do think there is a good use for that building as we go forward, and really feel there is merit in the proposals that are being talked about right now.
The apartment proposals, then,
Yes.
because I mean you're the last executive to be managing a workforce, a corporate office space in that building. What we hear constantly is that A, there's already too much Class A real estate in Providence on the market, and B, it sounds like it's just spaced weirdly in there for 2014.
Yeah, it was really constructed for a single tenant, and since 1928. I mean, that's essentially what it's been, plus or minus. But the reality is we do have sufficient office space in Providence right now. That building is actually Class B as opposed to Class A.
My mistake. Okay.
And Ted, if you were to put that building on the market as Class B space, we would have probably 30 years plus of inventory on the market, and we just can't work with that kind of inventory. So I think alternatively, the apartment proposal is a good proposal. Why? The demand to be downtown is very, very strong. And I have a lot of work with a lot of people who own residential apartments. They're full.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people knocking on doors saying, "Can I come in? and there really isn't the opportunity. So there is demand. And candidly, there are a lot of people who want to be part of an urban core that's a dynamic environment, and downtown Providence is a dynamic environment today. It's young, it's progressive, it's exciting, and there are a lot of great things happening. So I think apartments could be a very good solution. The details have got to be worked through, so that a good, solid deal can be structured and something that all parties can really be comfortable with. And I know there's an ongoing debate around that, but I won't go there. But I do endorse the concept.
The idea behind
Yes,
it.
I
All
do,
right.
I do.
Overdue for a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the changing shift in consumer banking. Maybe you at home are depositing a check on your iPhone as we speak. We're going to talk about that and much more. Stick with us on Executive Suite. Welcome back to Executive Suite. I'm Ted Nesi, and pleased to be joined this week by my guest, Bill Hatfield. He's the Rhode Island State President for Bank of America and also the Regional Executive for U.S. Trust, which is a wealth management firm. I have no use for their services at the moment, but maybe someday.
Not yet. But you will.
Yeah, that's the hope, right? So, Bill, I mentioned at before the break, I want to talk a little about consumer banking, how people bank is changing. Because whenever I have a banker on, I hear from a lot of folks and say, why haven't they closed all the branches? Nobody needs a branch anymore. It's all on your phone. It's all on your desktop. But their branches are still out there. People are changing how they bank. I mean, when you think about that, how do branches fit in, and what are the big changes you see?
No, branches are very, very much a key part of the delivery system, and certainly our banking business. And branches really afford us a great opportunity to engage face to face with our customers and really talk to them about their particular needs, their goals, and how we as a bank can help them accomplish those goals. And I said earlier, our purpose is to make their financial lives better. And when we can look someone in the eye, engage in a good, solid conversation with them face to face, the opportunity for us to really provide that value is enhanced. So we believe firmly in the branch banking strategy. We have fewer branches today than we had a year ago, than 2 years ago, but it's a critical part of our strategy as we go forward. That being said, we've seen a tremendous increase in online banking and mobile banking. And the growth there, frankly, particularly in mobile, has been exponential. So, the ubiquity of how we can deliver our services is very present and out there. But, candidly, mobile is on fire. And as we think about kind of the generational, usage of smartphones and so forth, it is only going to grow at a rapid pace.
Is it hard for banks to keep up with that, the pace of change on the consumer side that you have to be there for?
Yeah, I mean you've got to be on the edge, and you've got to be talking to customers all the time in terms of what their needs are and how you can meet those needs. The ability to deposit a check by taking a photograph really came from customers. That was not something that was created in an idea shop. It was based on feedback from customers saying, boy, if I could have a picture of my check and deposit that, how cool is that? And how efficient is that? So, there's been this huge technology response. Innovation is very much part of our business. And we need the best and the brightest to help innovate, again, so we can serve customers where they want to be served, when they want to be served.
When you look out at the competitive landscape and around, obviously we're watching closely to see what happens with Citizens Bank and Royal Bank of Scotland. Are you strategizing around what happens with Citizens Bank?
No,
Are you keeping a close eye on it?
We're solely focused on our customers. And we've got 50 million customers across the country. And we know that by serving those customers the way they deserve to be serviced, and we are offering them the ideas consistent with their goals, meeting their needs, making their financial lives better, that we have tremendous runway in terms of our growth. And we have tremendous confidence in our ability to do that, to continue to grow market share in the markets that we serve, and therefore don't really concern ourselves too much with the competition. We respect it, we appreciate it, and we know every day we have to go out and compete for business, but that's part of the fun.
You mentioned growth there. I mean, where do you see it? Do you see that coming on the consumer side? Is it business lending? Is it mortgages? Is it somewhere else for you guys?
We in Rhode Island, we've seen some very nice growth over the last handful of years. That's been on the deposit side, retail deposits, small business deposits, medium-sized companies, all the way up through institutions. Great deposit growth. Our loan growth has been quite strong. Looking back over the last 12 months, it was in excess of 10%. And in the small business category, we loaned out over $75 million to small businesses in Rhode Island. Significant growth over what we experienced in the year before, which I think it points to a couple of things. Our strategy is being successful. I think the way we execute it, we can always be better, and we strive for that. But it also points to some underlying growth in the Rhode Island economy. And I know we've been struggling, relative to other states, but evidence that we see, and when we really look at underlying transaction levels, loan demand, deposit growth, points to something that is healthier.
And briefly, we're up against a break, but that
Sure.
sounds like, too, Bank of America hasn't always gotten the best PR in recent years. I think you could say that. But it sounds like, so you're not seeing this fleeing from the large banks from your position to small banks. You're seeing an ability to continue to grow your base.
Our numbers would prove otherwise.
Yeah.
So that's absolutely the case. And why is that happening? Because candidly, we have resources that many other institutions don't have. And candidly, too, we are local. We are Bank of America. We are a national bank, but we are local because, I've been in this community 33 years. The people I work with, born here, choose to be here in Rhode Island and really operate, in a local kind of fashion, local environment. They're part of the community. So that personal connectivity that we have with our customers is really important. People trust us and understand that we can provide fantastic value with the resources that we bring to the table. And it's all about them. It's not about us, it's about them.
All right, when we come back, we're going to have Bill put on his Providence Foundation hat and maybe get out his old Greater Providence Chamber of Commerce hat and talk a little about economic development in the state and the view going forward. Stick with us on Executive Suite. Welcome back to Executive Suite. I'm Ted Nesi, and pleased to be joined this week by Bill Hatfield. He's the Rhode Island Market President for Bank of America, and he is also a senior executive at U.S. Trust. I said before the break, you were the chairman of the Greater Providence Chamber of Commerce, and you're head of the Providence Foundation Board right now.
Yes.
When you look around at the constant talk about economic development in the state, what do you hear from businesses when you're talking, maybe when you're being a banker? What is holding things back here? What comes to mind?
Well, we have momentum in Rhode Island, and I think we have to recognize that. That being said, what's critical for investment to take place is certainty around what the future bears, and candidly that comes in a lot of ways. That could be around taxes, where we know we need to be more competitive. That comes around leadership. It comes around incentives. It comes around the whole framework in which we operate in, and we've had a lot of we've had a lot of movement. So I think if we can really focus our energies on some of the opportunities that we see that are really going to be transformational, build some certainty into the system, and I think we've got leadership, certainly at the legislature, very focused on that, economic development being a top priority. A good discussion taking place around taxes that really will affect business investment. If we can really create the right framework there, and we can be consistent over a period of time, it will really start to get people thinking, okay, they're on the right path, they've made some good solid decisions, and there is now an ability to come in and invest and really support the growth. And it's also about building confidence. And we've been shaken. Mm-hmm. And we need to restore that confidence, get on our front foot, and really just be proud of the assets that we have here and how we can build off them. We have so many success stories that we can talk about. We just need to be telling those stories over and over again and bringing that certainty, that consistency back into our day-to-day approach. Speaker
Mattiello, he's thrown out a bunch of different taxes to look at. I don't know if he can cut them all this session, looking at how the numbers work. So, if you were advising state leaders, is there a certain place there where you think it would be particularly catalytic to make changes?
Well, I think over the last handful of years, great progress on the personal income tax side, which I think is critical. Discussion now around corporate taxes and getting that to a point where it's more competitive. That is critical. I do think estate taxes is a critical component, because there are a lot of people who are leaving Rhode Island specifically for that reason. And I think if we make some adjustments there, we can retain a lot of talent, we can retain a lot of wealth, and we can help raise the ship. So some very, very good thinking, I think, going on that front. And then I think reviewing some of the regulations that just may be too cumbersome for a business and not really serve a useful purpose, may be an appropriate review. And I know there's some discussion taking place around that topic right now.
I want to ask you on the estate tax. You sometimes hear from people on the progressive side that it's all a myth that people are really deciding based on estate taxes where to live and where to go and everything. Yeah. And I mean, particularly being a U.S. trust executive, I mean, you have no doubt that it's significant, the impact as people decide.
So this is my business, right? We deal with this. We deal with this every day, and we have these conversations with our clients every day, and we go through very extensive, planning with our clients to make sure that we can help them, again, accomplish their goals. And a lot of that is around charitable, endeavors that they have. It's around how they want to pass their money along to subsequent generations and so forth. The estate tax in Rhode Island always comes into the conversation. So to the extent that we can move that needle, we're still in a minority of states that has an estate tax. Mm-hmm. Majority of states do not. And it's compelling for people who have accumulated fair amounts of wealth, and where we are, it's we're a very low threshold. So I think that's a great opportunity for us. I think we would see fairly immediate impact looking out over the next handful of years.
Finally, we only have about a minute left,
Sure.
but I got to ask you, Brian Moynihan, Bank of America CEO,
Yeah.
I mentioned, went to Brown University, started his legal career here in Providence. Are you able to get any special dispensations from him because of his association with Rhode Island?
Nothing special. We do have the good fortune of seeing Brian in the market, I would say, on a fairly regular basis. He is down in the market. He has a very keen interest in Rhode Island, but he's a busy guy. He does stay close to what's going on here, as he does in all markets across the country. But I'll tell you, he is a real pleasure to have overseeing our ship, and he's steering in a great direction.
And 15 seconds, what is your community service thing you're proudest of this year at Bank of America? Our Bank of America community volunteers. We have 2,500 people in the state of Rhode Island that commit their time, their energy to making the communities healthy, better, stronger. And last year they contributed about 27,000 hours of volunteer time. And I've kind of challenged them to raise that bar to 30,000 hours this year. So we'll see if they All right, we'll check in and see if they do. All right, that's all the time we have this week. Thank you, Bill, for being with me today. And be sure, viewers, to tune in next week. My guests will be the Dean of Providence College's Business School and the Capstone Group's Neil Amper with an update on the local real estate market. I'm sure the Superman building will come up again. If you missed any of this show or any other episode of Executive Suite, you can catch all of those on our website, WPRI.com. And next week, I'll see you right back here on Executive Suite.